Hey, good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. It's Daryl here. It's bright and freaking early. It's 4 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Okay, it's a little bit different kind of video this morning. It's not the usual gut-grabbing topic that I usually go for. But the more I read into it, the scarier. It's a serious. Every voting American should know about this. I usually page through the stories, and when something makes really grabs me by the gut, that's the story I'll go with. But this morning, I saw one story as I'm paging through about Trump and Schedule F. Now I've never heard of Schedule F till this morning, so didn't see it. Didn't have flash, didn't have grabbing appeal to get clicks or whatever. It didn't even interest me, so I kept going. And then I saw another media outlet talk about Trump Schedule F, and another one, and why Americans should know about this, and why people should be terrified about this. And there was about 5 or 6 different stories, like on Flipboard and a couple other apps I have, that brought up Trump and Schedule F. And I don't know, this is something that came out with the Select Committee, or this is something that Trump's own team admits. Schedule F, his plans for 2024. The more I read into this, the more I was like, this is a story I got to talk about. And my point here is Donald Trump and America first. But if you really look at this Schedule F thing, it has nothing to do with America first or we the people. The civil servants working for us, they'd be working specifically for Donald Trump. Let me get into this. Okay, we've all seen these flags, right? The Revenge Tour, 2024 Trump, the Revenge Tour, right? I remember seeing one the first time about 8 months ago, and it puts a shiver, down your back. And then I started seeing more and more, and it's not just some kind of cute motto from Trumpers. It's serious. This whole Schedule F is about revenge, really. And this isn't just like liberal fear mongering or anything like that. This is something I didn't know this. This is something that Trump actually put into effect in October 2020. And then Biden rescinded almost immediately when he took office. I got all the links down below to this. I didn't know any of this stuff. Okay, let me get into Schedule F first of all. Right now, there's about 4,000 at the most, 4,000 employees. When one president comes in, like say Biden after Trump, the people underneath them, the civil servants underneath them, get moved. That more people, the people that are more in tune with the new current president. In other words, Democrats. Like when Biden moved in, he cleared out the Trumpers, about 4,000 at the most underneath him. And this is usually how presidents do it. So they have people they know, people whose qualifications they know, that are good, people they work well with. All right, and it's a system that's worked. But Trump says they have to bring the deep state to heel. Now, I don't believe in the deep state. I think the deep state is people that are actually qualified and know government, really, the majority of them. Or people that just don't worship Donald Trump are deep state. Pretty much anybody, independents, Democrats, Republicans, anybody that doesn't worship Donald Trump, part of the deep state. So this is Trump's plan to bring the deep state to heel. Up to 50,000 employees beyond that 4,000 would be out of job, would be able to be fired. If Trump took office in 2024, he'd clear out like up to 50,000 people would have no protections for their job. Trump would be able to just fire them at will and put in people that are specifically, well, he says, committed to America first. But the more I thought about that, this isn't about America first. I'll get into that more in a second. This is about Trump first. Like his family and friends and people loyal to him, which is what he did. So can you imagine, the Attorney General, heads of all the policy making, 50,000 jobs, policy, that have to do with policy, would be cleaned out and filled with people that could have no qualifications, no schooling, no experience, no nothing. Their sole qualification would be to kiss Donald Trump's butt. That seriously, and this is something that he put into effect. They brought up Jeffrey Clark. He's one of the attorneys that was pushing Trump for this whole insurrection thing. and to overturn the election. He was one of the hardcore lawyers for this. He has never tried a criminal case. He's never been a judge. He's never been a part of law enforcement or anything. And seriously, Trump would be eyeing him for attorney general. No experience, never tried a case, nothing. Kash Patel would be in there. All Trump cronies would be in there. This is why I think the more I read about this Schedule F, the more I think the 14th Amendment, there's a part in the 14th Amendment that any president that took part in rebellious activities or an insurrection should never be allowed to be able to hold office again. And this is why I think they should act on this immediately. Because even if he loses, he's going to pull the same thing he did in November, election day. Can you picture for 1 minute, no matter what, if he loses by a little or if he loses by a lot, if he loses, do you really think he's gonna go along with it? No. So if he runs again, America is screwed. Really. If he runs at all, forget win or lose. If he runs at all, this country is in big trouble. So this Schedule F, it would fill 50,000 positions beyond that 4,000. Important policy-making positions with people whose only qualification would be to go along with whatever Donald Trump says. This isn't what, when you talk about America first, this isn't what America first is about. This isn't serving us, working for us, the public. This is something where these employees, in order to keep their job, their first concern would be to satisfy Donald J. Trump, not the American public, not what's good for us, what's good for him. Think about it, seriously. What if there was some policy, Attorney General, Supreme Court, whatever, and it would benefit the American people, but it might shine Donald J. Trump in a bad light. What do you think these people would do? This is not about America first. This is about Donald J. Trump first. I had some. Imagine now people talk about Trump being the reason a lot of people voted for him is because he's a businessman. He knows how to run a business, and that's what we need in America. This is not how you would run any business. Think about this. If you opened a restaurant or an accounting business, and you hired people, your golf buddies, your cousin that's out of a job, but he's a drinking buddy. Imagine if your chef, if you opened a restaurant and your chef had never cooked a meal before, but hey, he's one of your best buds, man. He's loyal to you to the end. Do you think this restaurant would ever succeed? And then I thought about this. I remember an instance where I was one of those people. I just graduated. I hadn't even graduated a technical school yet, and the president, the chancellor, or whatever we called him back then, of my technical school was tight with certain employers in the business. This one employer who I briefly worked for did docks for the actual Coast Guard. Those aluminum docks that have plankways and then like a raft, and then the plankway up to the boat. He designed those. He's one of the biggest designers for the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard is centered here in Connecticut. And because of their relationship, buddy, the employer that did these Coast Guard docks and the head of my technical school, this employer would do a favor and hire a lot of guys that were going to graduate soon from the technical school. If the chancellor said, hey, what about you could hire this guy, and this guy. And these employers would be, okay, we're buds, they were drinking buds, we're golf buds, sure, no problem. And I was one of those guys. So I go on the job, and I was only there for 2 weeks before I quit because I felt uncomfortable. I went in there, and I started working on CAD. And the boss there, he had 2 or 3 employees, or 2 really, me, the draftsman, and this guy that actually lived inside the building on a couch. And he just wanted me to do the documents so that he could present these documents to get approved by the state or the government. But he wouldn't follow anything I said. in the end, he'd have this hard drinking guy that lived in the building, this welder, just build these docks however he wanted. Seriously, I swear to God. And so one day I'm in my office, right, and this is where this welder slept when I wasn't working. At the night, he'd sit in there and drink all night, and then as I discovered, he'd look at porn on my work computer. And it was some kind of bizarre porn too. And this is the guy, this drinking welder, that actually designed these docks, not me. I remember going in and meeting with this guy one day, and I was asking him questions about the bolts they were going to use. Because he would just say, use a 2-inch one on that, or use a 5-inch one on that, or 3/4-inch diameter there. And I was like, wait a minute, when I was in school, you do some calculations here, you don't just, well, that would work, and put that in. We're talking about shear and compression and tension and the different stresses and stuff. I mean, you can't just, people's lives are at stake here. You can't just pick something off the top of your head. And I brought this up. And he said, well, if I'm wrong, Joe out in the garage, we'll figure it out, and he'll put whatever he needs to put in there. So he didn't even need me. He just was using me to make the drawings, to have something to present to the government. And, they weren't used, the stuff that I recommended or drew or anything. This drinking guy, this homeless drinking welder in the garage, and the owner of the business just picked whatever they want for bolts for the U.S. Coast Guard. And I quit within 2 weeks because there was no way I wanted to be a part of this. I thought sooner or later somebody's going to get hurt from this. And this is the kind of thing, you're not getting the best people, the best qualifications. Like for engineers, for building bridges, for the Department of Transportation. Do you want somebody that graduated out of the best schools in the country, like Stanford, that has actual experience? But hey, maybe they're not a Republican. Maybe they don't like Donald Trump, but they had the most experience. They could get the job done the fastest for the least money. They know how to handle permits and all that stuff. Or do you want, Joe McBride that played golf with Donald Trump, that always let him win, and has graduated out of the university? I don't know, some the college, the College of Florida. I was looking up, I'll have the links down below, the best engineering schools and the worst engineering schools in the country, so you can see what I'm talking about. But you see what I'm saying here. None of this is about America first. This would totally redo government. It's terrifying. And, the people, the over 50,000 employees that have an effect on us directly, the policy and our everyday lives, their biggest qualification would be a loyalty to Donald Trump, not to us, not to the job, not to our safety, not to any of that, but to Donald Trump and keeping their job and kissing Donald Trump's butt. Seriously, this is a real thing. That's why I talked about this morning. It says some of those more flashy, the stories I usually do that grab you right as soon as you look at it. So I hope people watch this. I hope more people learn about this, because the sooner we use the 14th Amendment and just bar him from even trying to run from office, the safer this country will be. You guys have a great Saturday.